I think this is the time when women and men have to come on the same platform and create a world. Women have a lot to offer. They're very sensitive, they are very concerned, they have great sense of responsibility, they have a very deep way of looking at things. So I think these are the very special characteristics which need to be understood. I think I would say that comes from my mother, because I think she was a woman who was a very strong woman, and she felt the plight of women. And particularly when we went to our village, most of her time was spent in dealing with the problems of the depressed class of society, which who had really nowhere to go, and nobody was there to listen to them. So I spent a lot of my time as a child listening to their woes, listening to their problems, and it used to make me feel very worked up inside. Okay, what is this happening, you know? And it was happening in a very, very big way. See, as an artist, as a filmmaker, I have been moved by the predicament of a woman, and I think women, through a woman, you can see society more sensitively, with greater depth, because I think women are carriers of culture, and they're concerned about the continuity of culture. I think we need to evolve a very compassionate and a very sensitive society. I mean, there's a lot of things that culture has offered in terms of how you address a woman, you know. I think culture is one of the finest ways of understanding this in great depth. And it's this kind of understanding that gives you a vision for the future. I mean, I would, let's say, think of a very remote example. Amir Khusro. He wrote a lot on the girl child, Kahe ko byahe vides. So I think these kind of people who've always thought out of the box, and they've given a new way of looking at a woman, at a girl. Today, every young man is becoming like a macho, what shall I say, ruthless, egoistic. So he has to develop a lot of sensitivities and to be able to look at this issue. I mean, you have to just put yourself in that position. I mean, sometimes you say, okay, you can't. If you're not from UP, you can't feel UP. So if you're not a woman, you can't feel the plight of a woman. And today, most of the children are sent to school, so they don't have that experience of being exposed to society and viewing society from that standpoint. You know, they just grow up as children in schools, and then there's a different way of looking at the opposite sex. In that process, education becomes a very important element. And today I feel education of the child and the emancipation of the child, this issue becomes a very important part of his training and curriculum. You know.